Call the Alpena County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Roll call.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Here.
Commissioner Ludlow,
Here.
Commissioner Lalone. Here. Commissioner Fournier. Here. Commissioner Francisco,
Here.
Commissioner Konashevsky.
Here.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Here. We'll ask Father Tyler Biscoff to lead us in prayer.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the wisdom and dedication of our county commissioners. Guide their decisions with your wisdom, bless their work and with clarity and compassion, and grant them the courage to lead with justice and integrity. May they serve our community with a spirit of unity and a heart for the common good. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Okay, we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I did roll call earlier. That's okay. So everyone's had a chance to look at the agenda. So I'd look for a motion, if there's anything that needs to be added.
Make the motion.
For motion to accept the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep, and I'll support.
Oh, okay, so we have support and second. All those in our roll call?
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludlow,
Yes.
Commissioner Lalone.
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Yes. Consent calendar. Oh, no, I'm sorry, getting ahead of myself. Public comment. So we have a 3-minute public comment. If you could come up to the podium. I don't know if everyone's had a chance, but we do have cards back there. There we can keep track of who's doing the public comment or Kim to keep track of that. But if you want to come up to the podium, we have 3 minutes. Does our timer work yet? Oh, what happened to it?
We're getting a replacement. That one didn't work out. So.
Okay, so if you want to come up, 3 minutes? No? Anyone on Zoom? No? Okay. We'll close public comment, move on to the consent calendar. Everyone's had an opportunity to look at the consent calendar. Is anything that anybody wants to pull or question on? If not, I'd look for a motion to accept the consent calendar.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Ludlow.
I'll support.
Support by Commissioner Francisco. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Ludlow,
Yes.
Commissioner Lalone,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Yes. Next item, we have the bills to pay. Is there anything that anybody has questions on? I know I got my questions answered prior to the meeting. If no questions, then I'd look for a motion to recommend that we pay the bills.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner
Second.
and support. Any discussion? If not, roll call.
Commissioner Lalone,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludlow,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Yes. Next, we have the airport manager, Steve Smigelski.
Good afternoon, everyone. We have been offered a grant of $1,513,904 to purchase 2 runway plows. This includes a $37,847 county match. So I'm just asking that the grant be accepted and signed by the chairman.
Make that motion.
I'll support.
So we have a motion and support. Discussion.
Just the plows that you mentioned, Steve, have they been ordered already?
No, sir,
These are,
they won't be ordered until the grant is signed.
Okay.
And we'll put a notice to proceed out.
okay, and that's, we still shouldn't expect anything until 25, is that correct? Or further?
M&B asked for a 500-day delivery period.
Say almost a year and a half then, okay, all right. Just wanted to understand the flash to bang time.
There's a county match on that?
Yes.
37,000.
So that's what I was gonna ask was, does that come, can we get that match out of, does that come out of the county funding or can we match that with the airport funds?
I talked to Kim and
Yeah, I would recommend that you took it out of the airport fund. And then Steve indicated that we may possibly be able to get it covered through PFC funds.
Okay,
We'd have to pay for it out of the airport fund.
so then once we approve this, then the grant can be signed and then push forward to get those plows ordered?
yes, sir.
And when do you need the county match? Is that right out of the gate or not? I know you said when the grant is signed, but like, I mean, are we signing the grant now,
Well, the grant would be signed, I think, now.
immediately? Okay.
Put up our matching money.
Another discussion? Okay, so I'd look for a roll call.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludlow,
Yes.
Commissioner LaLonde. Yes. Commissioner Kozlowski.
Yes,
Thank you all.
thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Next, we have Nikki, Home Improvement Director.
Good afternoon. I'm actually here on behalf of the Home Improvement Program and the Public Conservator's Office together. I had an unexpected vacancy in my office, and without being allowed to fill that vacancy, I'm flying solo over there running two departments. And so I'm here to plead to you to allow me to fill that position. I did a memo. I hope you've had an opportunity to read, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
So when we did the budget reviews by two-person committee, I had the privilege of sitting down with Nikki and at that time her additional helper. But based upon what I learned in her dual office, she's a department head of two offices, I would highly recommend that we approve her request. Because they do a lot of amazing work and a lot of it is based upon client fees, for half of it anyway. So she does a lot of work to ensure that her office is both effective, efficient, and solvent. So I just want to add that. And thanks, Nikki, for that.
Thank you.
Now, this isn't going to affect the general fund, you're self-supporting?
I mean, I operate out of the general fund.
Okay.
I just, both departments bring in enough revenues to support all of the expenses of each department. So by the end of the year, by December 31, it will hopefully be in the black and really contribute to the general fund.
Okay.
Well, and as I understand it, Nikki, this was not expected. And this position was already budgeted through this year. So this is, the whole point of the hiring freeze was just any additional spending. That was why we were pumping the brakes on any spending whatsoever. So this isn't anything new. This would have been spent either way.
Correct, yes, it was already a budgeted position that, was filled and unexpectedly became vacant.
And you just said, though, that you will bring in that revenue to support those.
Yes,
That position.
absolutely.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, I guess we'll look for a roll call.
Commissioner Francisco,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludlow,
Yes.
Commissioner LaLonde. Yes. Commissioner Fournier,
Yes,
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
You.
No more working 80 hours for you.
Next we have Annie, the Senior Center Director.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am here today to talk to you about, I had requested some old levy money for a repair of our roof to OPC, but thinking that I was following the correct procedures because we always go through the OPC committee, which then always brought it to the commissioners. I have since been informed that that really wasn't the process I should have followed. So I was supposed to get two quotes. I'm hearing that after the fact, I got one quote, but I am still requesting the money to repair the roof in the kitchen. Done by Meridian for $13,473.
So this is basically, it's already been done. It's completed or almost completed.
It is completed because it was in our kitchen, so it wasn't something that I could really wait on the process because I would have had to close down the kitchen because it was leaking right into the kitchen.
And we have the money to cover this. So this is not a,
No, so on your balance sheet for the older persons, you have a reserved line. You have a reserved $38,230. That is specifically for building repairs and equipment to the senior citizen center. That's the only thing that that money can be spent on. And the only way it can be spent is by 2/3 vote of this board.
okay. So if we say no. Yeah,
Bottles and cans dry.
Yeah.
okay. So any other questions on this one? If not, I'd look for,
I do have one other question. So moving forward, just so that I understand with these funds, because I also now have a back door that needs to be replaced at $6,000. And I did get 2 quotes on that one. Would I go directly through you guys or do I go to OPC like I normally did?
No, when it's coming off the reserve, you do want to come directly to the Board of Commissioners.
Okay,
Because it's 2/3 vote of the Board of Commissioners that can approve this.
so this next, should I just send that off to Jesse then?
You can send me, we'll get it.
you get it added to a future agenda.
Okay,
So I guess I'd look for a motion then on this one to approve payment of the 13,000, was it
473.
73? So we have a motion by Commissioner LaHaye or support by Commissioner Ludlow. Any further discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Yes.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludlow,
Yes.
Commissioner Lalone,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Yes. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have County Administrator Jesse.
So just a little bit of house cleaning. We have our soil erosion officer was under a contract that expired December 31st, 2023. He's still doing the work. It was just an oversight. That an addendum was never added. Although he had intended to retire at that time, we weren't ready to fill that slot. So he's agreed to stay on until June 30th of 2025 when his license expires. At which time we'll be looking for somebody to fill that role. So just to make sure that we're in the clear, I'd just like to have this addendum added onto his contract so he's good to go. I do have Mr. Kolashevsky's here as well, if you have any questions.
I don't, does anybody have any questions? I mean, I know you've been doing this. We just carried on, nothing happened here. Did you say you'd be doing this until January 26th? No,
June 30th of 2025,
June 30th?
or until he can find a replacement.
Okay. Okay. Okay, does anybody have any questions?
No.
Okay, I'd look for a motion then to approve the addendum for the soil erosion contract.
Making it retroactive back to 1 January of 24.
Yes, sir.
Great.
Yeah,
I'll make that motion, Chair.
okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Francisco, support by Commissioner Fournier. Any other discussion? If not, I guess we can just do all those in favor of this. And everyone in favor of this signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passed. Next up, we have, what's the next up?
We have we have the ambulance contract. So we're hoping to have that finalized. We're just putting some final touches on that, and polishing it up. We hope to have that ready for the next meeting. However, on a related note, we do have an obligation to purchase an ambulance in the near future, and an opportunity has recently presented itself. To that end, I'd like to invite Chief Edmonds up to speak.
Good afternoon. Under the provisions of the Ambulance Service Agreement, Amendment 1, Section 6, ambulance medical equipment. An ambulance is outlined to be ordered in 2024 with the additional cost to outfit with a Stryker power load lift system and Power Pearl cot for patient care transport. One of the challenges to this process is the availability and build times.
There you go, Dan.
The traditional means to make this happen with a skilled competitive bid process pushes the timeline out 24 to 36 months, as it is now considered a custom build. Vendors are currently building stock line trucks that are available on a first come, first served basis, requiring a deposit to claim the apparatus. These are standard ambulances with few options to customize layouts of the cabinetry, driver's compartment, or patient compartment, et cetera. So they're pretty standard builds is what they are. In researching availability and purchase price to fit our needs, these line trucks are ranging from $274,000 to $290,000, plus an additional $76,000 for Stryker power load and cot lift system, which is pushing the cost of the new ambulance to $350,000 to $366,000, plus the radio outfitting cost of approximately $4,500 for a new dual head 800 megahertz radio for communications to the hospital and dispatch. In looking to purchase a new ambulance in this method, it restricts us to finding what is first available and through a sole source vendor and not putting it out for competitive bids. I'm requesting authorization to secure a new ambulance purchase, the Stryker power load cot lift system and 800 megahertz dual head radio system not to exceed a total cost of $400,000 or less on a first available basis. The anticipated delivery of a new ambulance utilizing this method would be late 2024 to middle of 2025. And I do have a proposed motion there if you guys are in support.
Okay, so we need to, I guess I'd look for a motion that we approve because as Andy said, we need to, Rob, set Andy back there. So motion by Commissioner LaHaye, support,
I'll support.
okay, support. So the motion, I guess, we said for up to 400,000, correct?
I think it's gonna.
Not to exceed.
Not to exceed. I talked with the vendor today. The Rev Group basically builds all the ambulances throughout the country. And they're building trucks all the time and they're doing it on a first come, first served basis. If we decide to do it with custom bid, then it just extends that out. What I did get confirmation today is that we can do it for less than the 400,000. We deal directly with Stryker, so we don't actually go to the ambulance vendor to buy the power load power cot. You pay list price for it. So we believe it's going to come in much less than the 400,000. But that at least gives me the ability, because they don't tell you that this vehicle is going to cost this much money until you sign on the dotted line.
Yep.
So again, I would like to point out on the ambulance fund balance sheet, you have a reserved line item for equipment, city contract reserve. So this is money that had been previously budgeted for an ambulance that we didn't spend in 2 years. So it was 100,000 and 100,000. So it was put on the reserve line item. So again, like any reserve on a balance sheet, it takes 2/3 vote to spend that. If you are going to move forward with approving of spending up to 400, I would recommend that you take that 210,000 out of that reserve against that 400,000.
So we move it into the line that's cash for ambulance on the balance sheet.
On the balance sheet, actually, it'll end up going into your fund balance. It just makes it so that we can absorb that line item, so you don't have to keep it separate, because you're gonna spend 400,000. So why keep another 200,000 in reserve?
So would we, if we approve this motion, do we need another motion or can we?
Just
combine them?
make the motion that you're gonna approve the 400,000 with 210 of it coming from the reserve line item.
I'll change the motion to.
What's the second one on that one?
I apologize.
So, well, you apologize.
I didn't answer right away.
So will you amend your motion?
Yes, I can amend my support.
Okay, all right.
I have a quick question. You go up just a little bit.
I have a question.
Yeah, so I have a question, Kim, and I apologize. 210-000-001-000.
Right?
The cash ambulance fund, so we have 490,000, a little bit of change in that fund.
Okay, but hold on a second. Yeah, you have 400,000 in there, but you are budgeted to spend as soon as this thing decides to go. As it stands right now, for your 24 budget, you are still looking at spending $467,819.44 of that fund balance.
So your cash fund balance is already spoken for.
How much, could you tell me that again? How much is it?
460.
467,819.44 is what's currently budgeted to be spent of the ambulance fund for this year. So that money's gone. It's accounted for.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
And you had a question, Brenda?
Yes, I do. Are you turning any ambulance back in?
Yes, once we get delivery of that ambulance, then the county will get it would be a whole 101. Get turned back over to the county for them to dispose of however they want.
Okay. Next question. Does that, when you're turning in, does that have the power load and cot? Don't you normally take them out and put it into the,
Because the number of uses of lifts that we actually use, they feel that it's probably going to be at the end of its service life as well.
okay,
So you guys will get that as well. So to transfer it into a new rig, for instance, probably doesn't make any sense because we're going to keep that rig for 12 years. And most of our rigs right now are over 100,000 miles. Some of them are pushing 200,000 miles by the time we get into the service life of them.
well, I just,
Our call volume is up about 4,700 calls per year.
I thought I'd ask, because I can remember we used to, or you did, take them out and switch them with the others. So
Correct. We did, but they actually track them. So there's a little, like everything else, a little computer chip. So they know the amount of times that cot goes up and down. And basically they felt that our cots are beyond their service life on that one especially.
Did you say, I know Steve, like to give us that 500 number. Can you beat his number?
Which number?
The 500 number, 500 days to get a snowplow? Can you?
So what they told us is they have 5 trucks coming off the line right now, and this is why it's kind of important. They venture to guess that probably within 3 to 4 weeks, those trucks won't be available.
Okay,
We could have that truck as soon as October.
okay.
So
So you definitely beat Steve.
I hope so. Sorry.
So you mentioned, Chief, that this is a sole source vendor.
Yes.
That's because the basic vehicle itself is what is the sole source provider, but the other stuff is through Stryker. But those are amendments, or not amendments, but additions to the basic structure. So that's why we can use the sole source provider rather than a sealed bid process. Is that correct?
Correct. And if we did a sealed bid, basically what they said is that it then becomes a custom build. They're building those out to 2028 right now. One of the things we are looking at is going to a 3-year rotation with the ambulance contract. If we do that, we're gonna come up with a process between the county and the city to be able to lock that in so that truck can be built for a delivery date of whatever we decide. If we decide it's January 15, then we can secure it now without having to pay anything, but it would be ready for delivery so we don't have to wait.
Yeah, you briefed that a few months ago, as I recall. So that clarifies things. Thank you.
I don't believe we have an ambulance committee, do we, anymore?
Yeah, the court-
Yeah.
Courts of public
courts and public safety.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember that when you would turn an ambulance back in, they used to have the counties that needed an ambulance. They used to take turns giving the ambulances to whatever county came up next.
Correct.
Or whoever needed one the worst. Apparently, they don't do that anymore.
Don't do that anymore. Most of the rig, they're probably the end of their service life. In fact, I think the last 2 that we turned back to you guys, I know 2 for sure out of the last 3 actually went to the crusher.
Well, no,
Because-
Travis hooked us up.
That was the last one.
That's the last one.
Yeah.
2 before that actually went to the crusher because there was no valve.
But we were told that we could auction it off, but Travis stepped up and was able to get us what, like 14, 12, something like that, 12,000.
I think it was under 10 when the dust settled, to be
It's
honest.
still better than what.
Better than scrap for sure.
Yeah.
And that's why we turn them over to you guys. You guys can do whatever you want with them. After you get them, if you want to give them to the first responder agencies that are, that's totally.
I'm sure Travis will be able to find us another buyer.
Yeah.
Pressure's on.
So
Okay.
right, thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
And so we have the motion support, I guess, so roll call, please.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludlow,
Yes.
Commissioner Lalone,
Yes.
Commissioner Fournier. Yes. Commissioner Francisco,
Yes.
Commissioner Konashevsky.
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Chief.
Okay, next. Positive.
Again, huh?
Yeah, sorry guys. So we had a heat exchanger go at the pool In order to repair it, it'd be just shy of 19,000. To replace it fully would be just shy of 36,000. I have Wes here to kind of speak to the intricacies of a piece of equipment I'm not familiar with myself, really, so.
Step up, Wes.
Yeah, give us some news. Good news. Excited.
A hole in the heat exchanger with water leaking into it.
So was it you that said something? We leak under 2,000, Brenda?
I just said fill it and not with water.
Yeah.
Concrete.
Wes, if you could maybe touch base on whether we repair it versus replace it, what the lifespan might be.
No, that, the lifespan is probably 20 to 25 years and we're about 18 years into it. I don't know what the reality of a new pool in this community is and the likelihood of that one staying open, but if we're looking at long-term, it would probably need the whole boiler replaced.
If you only did the replace or the repair in the amount of $18,475, what is the life expectancy you think we can get out of that? Like, without a brand new system?
It's only gonna change the heat exchanger. It's not gonna change the life expectancy of the boiler itself.
Okay, so if you repair the heat exchanger, how long can the pool run, do you think?
Were you saying
Only,
just another potentially,
It's in there, it's been in there for about 18 years.
I got another 7-ish, maybe?
Till something else
For
breaks
the
down.
boiler?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Wes, I did check and see the heat exchanger that I have is far smaller than what you would need.
They're pretty small, they fit right inside, but they're a plate-to-plate pipe heat exchanger. The pool water does not actually circulate through the boiler itself.
Right.
Two separate heat exchangers.
do we have more than one proposal here or only from Control Solutions?
Just from Control Solutions.
Is the pool down right now because of this?
No. It's cracked and it's leaking. It got saturated with water and they were trying to fire it back up and they could hear water gurgling in. So they got the water out of it, got it back up and running, but it is still slowly leaking back into it.
I mean, I personally would like to see another bid. That's usually our protocol is for 2 bids, not 1.
Can't get a patch for it, eh, Wes?
No.
To cover the cost of this, that would come out of the Fund 631, the Building and Grounds Maintenance Fund, currently sits at $223,054.73.
So Wes, what do you recommend?
I guess my recommendation would be to replace the heat exchanger.
Just the heat exchanger, not the whole boiler system? Thank you. Okay.
Are there other options? Are there other people around that sell those?
Well, part of the problem is if we have somebody else install a boiler, we still have to get Control Solutions involved to hook it up to our building automation system. So
Okay.
I think by dealing with 2 different contractors, we're still gonna be right in the same ballpark.
Make a motion that we accept this as number 1 total bid of 18,475 to replace the heat exchanger on the pool.
Here we have a motion.
The Control Solutions bid on that.
So we have a motion for option 1. Replace a new heat exchanger. Do we have support on that?
I'll second that.
So we have a motion and support. Any other discussion with this?
I'm just wondering how much longer the county's gonna put up with putting money into that pool that doesn't really do any good. We just keep putting money in
Well,
it.
once we do this, we won't have to worry. It'll be almost like new, right?
Right.
Oh,
Till the next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of the year, we put, I think, didn't we, where did we take that 25 from initially? I think in February?
It was February.
February, the 25, that came from general fund to the pool.
So this one will come out of the,
This will come out of the building and grounds maintenance fund. Yes.
How much money is in there?
So you have you have a fund balance of 280,000 right now. And just a second, let me see what you have.
currently budgeted to spend of that 280.
57, 260, 90.
Yeah. So,
What's a,
But, 223,054.73.
yeah, available in that line item, in that fund.
So just another piece, though, we have that much money in there. But as we spend that money,
Right, as you spend it down at this time, I know of no plan to replace the funds within the building and grounds fund or the equipment fund.
okay,
Right, especially when we were going through the budget and everything, we're not putting money back into those accounts. We're like stopping to.
My understanding,
General fund.
I haven't heard anything. The last few years, you've taken ARPA money to support that.
Yeah,
okay.
And most of the money to fund the pool has been coming from the youth and rec village, is that correct?
Well, that's what is it, 9,000, they cover a month?
About half of the pool's revenue does come from youth and rec.
Youth and rec,
Yes.
okay.
Okay, so any other questions, discussion on this item? If not, I'd look for a motion or a roll call, please.
Commissioner Ludlow,
Yes.
Commissioner Lalone,
no,
Commissioner Ford. No. Commissioner Francisco,
Yes.
Commissioner Konachevsky,
No.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Yes.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Yes. Okay, guys, was that for 3?
4-3, so motion carried.
Okay, I guess don't break anything else.
You won't have to, it does itself.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. It really does.
Okay, that was it
Starting and
for
everything else.
you, Jesse, correct?
Correct.
Next, we'll do the individual
Yeah.
reports. We'll start with the facilities. Again, if you don't have, just, I will look for the big items. Facilities, so Travis, you're up.
Just talked a little bit about this heat exchanger at the last meeting. We've got, some generous people donating some materials and time to put a nice lean-to on the animal shelter building. Those were kind of the two big topics. Everything else is kind of business as normal.
Okay, all right, thank you. I don't. Commissioner Peterson's not here. Who can speak to the airport if anything significant was on that?
I attended, I don't remember anything of no, really mentioning.
All right, so we'll move on. Brenda, personnel.
Yes. We talked about a hiring freeze. And advertising for all board vacancies will go out in September. And 2 employees from grounds and maintenance retiring in the near future. Administrator Osmer talked about drug policy. HR specialist Jennifer Mathis. Talked about the deputy and emergency management resigned. And 1 corrections officer resigned at the sheriff's office. The home improvement assistant has put in her resignation. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So the individual other boards and committees that we're on, so we'll start with Commissioner LaHaye. And again, just if you could just keep it to the big topics, the highlights.
The planning commission, Green Township, passed an ordinance where they're not going to allow solar farms, large solar farms that allow smaller ones, you know, if you want to put it on your house or something, just small area, but most of the commissioners voted to turn the large solar farms down. So that was the big thing at the planning commission, and just the rest of the stuff was just normal. But Veterans Affair, we didn't meet since the last meeting, so they'll be meeting next month. We meet every other month, so on that.
Okay, and Brenda had said was there anything on district health for? You wanted to touch on?
District Health 4, we had the financial report there. And we talked about building maintenance at the DDH 4 building. There was something that needed to be addressed there. Some trees need to be cut down, and there was some question on who was supposed to do the cleaning inside. I think we resolved that with Jesse and the director there. And they talked about vaccines and everybody should consult their doctor for vaccines. And we know that, certain things are going. I think I heard today that COVID is back again, and people should be very careful on how they keep clean, wash their hands, and do whatever they're supposed to do there, and just be careful. And I guess that's about it there.
Okay, all right, thank you. Commissioner Ludlow?
Thunder Bay Marine Sanctuary was a fun time.
Yeah, don't rub it in.
We went up to the Viking cruise ship and, well, I found out, and I was surprised that the Viking cruise ship, not only a cruise ship, is also a scientific ship. They do all sorts of scientific gathering and side solar scanning. They have this one hangar area, very large at the back of the boat. They keep all their equipment. They have all kinds of boats. And they actually have 2 large submersibles that will seat 7. So
Like I said, don't rub it in. I've been wanting to.
I could go on, but
I know. Well, and I do know, if anybody would like, they offer a cruise when they leave here that goes down to Antarctica for a mere $79,999. So if anybody's interested, start saving your pop cans.
just like, yeah, I could change.
Yeah. Okay, is that it? You're good?
No, NEMSCA, of course, this board just heard the annual report from NEMSCA. We discussed that, went over their financials. Their financials are strong. Discussed some of the programs they have going on. And that's pretty much it. And that's it.
Okay, all right, thank you. Commissioner Lalonde?
Everything's pretty good over at Thunder Bay Transportation. We did do their financials, and their audit was recent, and with flying colors, they've done really well. And of course, they did get their millage, so they were very grateful for that. I'm also Fair Board liaison, so this was one of the most attended fairs in the last 20 years. Thank everybody that went out there and supported the Alpena County Fair. They're working on a fundraiser now for new sound system, and the horse heads cutouts was part of that, which they're planning on continuing. So I encourage people to support that. But they literally sold out this year. So that was pretty incredible. They did a really nice job, and they had more sponsors than ever, and lots of positive feedback, especially on social media. So I thought that was really good. That's about it. I can speak to parks if you want.
Where was that?
With Dan and you.
Oh, go ahead.
So there's always lots going on in parks, little things and that. Well, we are working on fine tuning booklets for everyone for each park with fluid policies across all of the parks. So we're working on cleaning up literally all the policies and then having everyone read them, everyone study them. So there's not so much confusion with policies that were 20 years ago and policies that were 5 years ago. So we're just really merging all that in a big project, but just to really clear up lots of things that have been going on.
Okay. You good?
Yeah, I feel that was short. That was like 2 minutes. That's a record.
Definitely.
Maybe like 10 minutes.
Okay, Commissioner Peterson isn't here. Commissioner O'Neill was the district health, with Bill already talked about. Commissioner Francisco, if you want to kind of cover too, anything on the MOA, because Commissioner Peterson's not here.
Yeah, but just real quick on the MOA landfill, we also, the MOA Landfill Authority completed the audit was completed by Straley, Krenzeline and Lamp, and Everything is looking fine. We have an adequate satisfactory fund balance there to the point where the board itself authorized each county to receive $75,000, a $75,000 allocation. So Montmorency, Escota, and Alpena will have that additional into the revenues for the general fund. Regarding the other two committees that I'm on, NMRE and opioid update, there's nothing significant to report. There were no meetings. Next meetings are both next month. Subject to questions, that's all I have.
Okay, all right, thank you. Commissioner Konashevsky?
No, we've already, talked about the pool and whatnot, with the Community Corrections Advisory Board. I wasn't able to, they didn't have a meeting last month and I wasn't able to attend the Northern Michigan Counties Association.
Okay, okay. And for me, I have the Northeast Michigan Consortium, which I just attended yesterday. Basically, that's the Michigan My Works, and I didn't get a chance to send out. I'll send out the report that I got, or the information. They spend tons of money helping different aspects, areas of our community, and they spend a lot of money. And then the Northeast Michigan Material Management, I wasn't there, but you were. Do you have anything to add on that, Bill?
They had the financial report. They talked about the cameras at Northern Lights Arena. They're upfitting the dumpsters, so they'll fit on the new truck, so we can use the new truck, and just normal things that are going on.
Okay. All right, thank you. So moving on. Have these special orders, unfinished business, correspondence. So we do have the poll action that was taken for the sheriff on the full-time corrections officer to fill the two part-time corrections officers, which the poll was done. That's more just informational. And then it looks like we'll move into final public comment. Anyone has any final public comment? Step up. Remember, 3 minutes, say your name.
Good.
Okay.
Get it. Tracy Collins, Wilson Township. I just wanted to mention to the board, and I see that you have the personnel matter, and I don't know if that concerns the library or not. But one of your biggest things about the library was their inaction, that they weren't taking action quickly enough. I attended the personnel committee meeting thinking that maybe something would be discussed there. Nothing was discussed there. I've spoken to you before. I'm not for removing all of the library board, especially at the same time. I don't think that would be a wise decision, but I found it slightly ironic that those two things were coming into play. You're concerned about they're not doing anything and the community not really seeing any action or having any update from the Board of Commissioners about what was happening with all of those things.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I'm Bruce Maxwell from Ossining. Unfortunately, this board has brought shame on our community by kowtowing to a small group of extremists regarding the library board. The library board has responded to concerns expressed by a few people in this community. Library staff also has responded by adopting a new shelving system that will help parents easily identify books they may not want their children to access. Kids cannot check out these books unless their parent has approved they're getting the library card. So you can't just have a 12-year-old walking in and checking out a book without their parent knowing that they have a library card and having supposedly approved that. Now, of course, that same 12-year-old can, with their cell phone, access hundreds of thousands of pornographic videos for free instantly on the internet. They also can access, with that same cell phone, books about bestiality and other pornographic subjects written by a local person under a pseudonym. So there's lots of that available online on their cell phone for free. If you continue with plans to fight a library board, you're likely to become involved in expensive litigation. And this presents very poor optics to voters when you're looking for a tax increase. I'd also like to note on your agenda, you have a closed meeting for personal action. I don't know if that involves the library board. If it does, under the State Open Meetings Act, you cannot close that meeting. You can only close it if the person in question, excuse me, requests that it be closed. And I don't know that any members of the library board have done so. So I would hope that that is a meeting, closed meeting. It's not about the library board. because it would be illegal to do so.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I'm Laura Maxwell. I'm from Ossanik as well. Libraries are for everyone, and I love my library. The American Library Association is 148 years old, and it began in 1876. It is a standard of principles and high aspirations that guide and unite library workers, volunteers, trustees, and advocates throughout our nation. The American Library Association is the oldest and largest library association in the world. Its core values are access, equity, intellectual freedom and privacy, public good, and sustainability. Access provides opportunities for everyone in the community to obtain library resources and services with minimal disruption. Equity addresses system barriers, biases, and inequities to create inclusive library services where everyone benefits. Intellectual freedom and privacy empowers people to think for themselves and make informed decisions while respecting each individual's dignity and independence. Public good is working to improve society and protect the rights of education, literacy, and intellectual freedom. And sustainability makes choices that are good for the environment, makes sense economically, and treats everyone equitably. Listen, we love our kids. Every day we make decisions on free time activity, reading materials, TV shows, commercials, movies, arcades, video games, even how much sugar they eat. You use your best judgment according to your values. Your decision may be different than your neighbor's, and that is okay. You have the right to make decisions for your families, but not for your neighbor's family, not for everyone. Our library board and staff have stood by the principles of the American Library Association, which are principles for everyone. I am grateful to them in their support of all of our freedoms. My heart aches for a library staff that has been devalued, bullied, and intimidated while they continue to support our library and core values. My heart aches for a library board threatened with replacement if they continue to uphold the American Library Association's core values. Libraries are for everyone, and it's up to each of us to uphold the core values that have sustained us for over a century, 148 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Anyone online? Okay, we're going to move into closed session to discuss a personnel matter like the agenda says. So we'll go into closed session. Look for roll call to make sure we all are still here.
Commissioner LaHaye,
Here.
Commissioner Ludlow,
Here.
Commissioner Lalone,
Here.
Commissioner Fournier,
Here.
Commissioner Francisco,
Here.
Commissioner Konashevsky,
Here.
Commissioner Kozlowski.
Here. Okay, so we're back in open session and yes. Robin, leave it up to you.
Thank you. Okay, so I have an announcement to make, which this would have been the reason for the personnel. Just to clarify that. When I sought the appointment to the board last year, I did so hoping I could offer a fresh perspective while bringing my passion to see our community thrive to the important work we perform on behalf of the people of Alpena County. I would like to believe I fulfilled those goals and that I've helped put Alpena on a path to better days. And so it is with a bittersweet heart that I write to you today to announce that I have accepted a career advancement opportunity with my current company that I'm employed with. Although I'm excited to begin this next chapter, it saddens me this opportunity prevents me from completing my term. My last day on the board will be next week, with my resignation taking effect September 6, 2024 at noon. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve the people of Alpena's 3rd District and to help work toward building the foundation for development of the upcoming budget, support updating policy changes, and carry out the important work on the many committees on which I sat. Although I am stepping away, Alpena is very near and dear to my heart, and I will be watching from afar and looking forward to each visit home to see what great things are yet to come. I'd also especially like to thank my colleagues Administrator Jesse Osmer, every single commissioner, for everything you've done to make my time an enjoyable experience, and your support and your growth and your mentorship and your respect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
So that position, we have what, 30 days to fill?
As of the date of her resignation.
As of her-
30 days.
September 6th, yes.
And so we'll probably have to wait until then to advertise that.
We will advertise it and probably most likely the board would have to fill it by the meeting on the 24th.
Yep. Because we have to have.
Because past that was
special
30
meeting.
days, correct,
So for budget, we'll be running short.
for one meeting, yes.
Any other comments? If not,
Oh, I'll miss you guys too.
yeah, we'll miss you.
Yeah,
We appreciate, I definitely.
yeah, you're the only county one on the board.
Hey,
Yeah,
It's been a pleasure.
yeah,
I'd like to think that I did lots of good, so
yeah, we appreciate it and thank you very much.
thank you.
With that, I'd look for motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by well, actually, if you don't mind,
I'd like to make the motion to adjourn, please.
Okay.
motion by Commissioner Malone, second by Commissioner Lehead. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Returned.